Hello friends, what's up? It's Jaime here. Welcome back to another Fangirl Fridays video. Because it's AAPI Heritage Month, I want to share some of my favorite book recommendations by Asian authors. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First, we have Unfollowing You by Kamal Kapoor. This is a poetry collection that tells the story of a contemporary romance and subsequent heartbreak through a collection and combination of text messages, unsent letters, poems, and prose. Next, we have The Korean Vegan Cookbook by Joanne Molinaro. This cookbook is a collection of many of the recipes and family stories that you can find on Joanne Molinaro's TikTok at The Korean Vegan, but in physical book form. I touched on this in my Book Recs by Asian Authors video from last year because I realized that it sounds a little silly to recommend a cookbook to read, but I genuinely feel this way, that this book is more of a memoir that also just happens to have recipes. If you know me, then you probably know that I am a huge fan of Joanne. I actually met her 2 years ago and she was so lovely. She actually signed my cookbook. She was so nice. Oh my God. I think about that all the time. I wish I'd gotten more pictures with her, but she was just so incredible and I loved talking to her. And I've just been always so in awe of her ability to recount her family's history through recipes, and just her storytelling and her recipes are just so incredible and I love her so much, and I just will forever and always recommend this cookbook because I love Joanne. I'm such a huge fan. Her stories are so moving and heartfelt, and the photography in this cookbook is hers. She did I'm not sure she did all of them, but I know she did a good amount of the photos for this cookbook. It's just beautiful. Please get this cookbook. It's so great. I highly recommend it. All right, next we have Crying in H Mart, which is a memoir by Michelle Zauner. Michelle Zauner is a musician and author, best known as the lead singer of the band Japanese Breakfast. This memoir details Michelle's tumultuous relationship with her mother's battle with cancer and subsequent death, and how Michelle used Korean food as a way to cope with that loss, but also feel closer to her mother. I lost my grandmother to cancer in 2020, and Michelle just perfectly captured what it feels like to watch somebody that you love just wither away in the most heart-wrenching way. This book is so incredibly well written, but also devastating. So while I definitely recommend it, I also want to caution you that the way that Michelle describes and gets into her grief is so raw and heavy. It's, again, incredibly written, but it can be a lot at times. As somebody who has also felt so many of the things that she describes in this book, it can be a lot, so definitely just be aware of that. Next, we have How Far the Light Reaches, which is an essay collection by Sabrina Imbler. I just talked about this book for my trans authored books video, so I'll try not to repeat myself too much. This essay collection contains essays about a variety of sea creatures and how those sea creatures relate to Imbler's experiences with family and race and sexuality and gender. The essays sometimes include necropsy reports in which Imbler details their past queer relationships and why they fell apart. And I quickly want to call out the essay Beware the Sand Striker to provide an essay trigger warning. This essay talks about sexual assault as it pertains to Imbler's experiences as well as those of Lorena Bobbitt in a pretty graphic way, so just be aware of that going in. Next, we have Peach Blossom Spring by Melissa Fu. This novel follows 3 generations of a Chinese family as they search for a place to call home. We start the story with Meilin as she and her 4-year-old son Renshu become refugees as a result of the Second Sino-Japanese War. Over the years, we continue to follow Meilin and Renshu as they continue to be refugees as a result of the war, until Renshu eventually settles down in America as Henry Dow. Henry goes on to have his daughter Lily, who is eager to learn more and get more in touch with her Chinese heritage, but Henry finds it difficult to reconcile his Chinese identity with the life that he has built for himself in America. Next, we have Fiona and Jane by Jean Chen Ho. This novel follows our titular characters Fiona Lynn and Jane Shen, who are childhood best friends, over the span of 2 decades. The book alternates between Fiona and Jane's perspectives, revealing how the girls and their friendship has changed over the years. And it also shows how their friendship is both a source of comfort, but also a reminder of all the loss and hardship that Fiona and Jane have experienced over the years, separately and together. This book intimately illustrates female friendship and all of its complexities and layers, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Next, we have The Henna Wars, which is a YA novel by Adiba Jagadar. We follow Nishat, a Bangladeshi lesbian who finds herself in competition with her childhood friend Flavia over who is the best henna artist at their school. Now, this book is framed as this rivals to lovers story, and that is a part of it. That definitely does happen. That's how it was marketed to me by other people, but I feel like so many people just like downplay or just like straight up like gloss over just like how the majority of this book is Nishat getting understandably, justifiably upset about something that happens. Her getting outed to her all-girls Catholic school, to Flavia engaging in cultural appropriation by trying to profit off of henna for their school competition. And literally everyone is gaslighting Nishat about it, being like, oh, actually, you're the bad person here in these situations, Nishat. Like, what? Like, literally everyone and their mother is gaslighting Nishat, who, again, is, like, in my opinion, acting the most rationally out of anyone in this whole fucking book. And again, like, it's a good book. Like, this is not to say that this is a bad book. It's a good book. I really enjoyed it. I really recommend it. But I feel like more people need to talk about, again, like, it's not just about the rivals to lovers story. Like, there's so much more going on, again, with literally everyone gaslighting Nishat, and I just feel like we need to talk about that more. All right, next we have Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating, which is another YA novel by Adiba Jagadar. This YA romance follows our titular characters, Hani and Ishu, who enter a fake relationship, as you may be able to discern from the title, so that they can each accomplish their personal goals. Hani wants her friends to validate her bisexual identity, while Ishu wants to become head girl at their school, which will look really good for getting into college. But in classical fake dating trope fashion, Hani and Ishu develop real feelings for each other and must figure out how to navigate these real feelings in the context of a fake relationship. This was a really cute read. I really enjoyed it. I also feel like, again, in comparison to how people are about the henna wars, again, just from what I've seen, I feel like people are a lot more upfront and transparent about the issues and the struggles that the girls in this book have to deal with than they are for the henna wars, so I wasn't so caught off guard. Next, we have Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. If you're familiar with this channel, you already know just how much I love this book, but I'm still gonna gush about it anyway. This historical fiction novel tells the story of Lily Hu, a Chinese-American high school senior living in 1950s California. We follow Lily as she begins to form a relationship with her classmate Kath Miller as they go out at night to a lesbian bar called the Telegraph Club. Lily and Kath are forced to keep their relationship a secret because 1950s homophobia, but also because Chinese immigrants are getting deported left and right, and Lily's father has just had his papers taken away, and so Lily's relationship with Kath could put her family in jeopardy. I made a whole video about Last Night at the Telegraph Club because I love it so much. It is in my top 5 favorite books of all time. Lily and Kath are just so sweet for each other, and you feel for them so much because they are really risking it all to be together, and it's so beautiful and devastating all at once, and I love this book so much. If you want to hear me gush more about this book, then you can watch my video about Last Night at the Telegraph Club, but please do yourself a favor and read this book for yourself. I cannot recommend it enough. Next, we have A Scatter of Light, which is another historical fiction novel by Melinda Lowe, which I didn't realize until I was looking stuff up for this video that this novel is considered historical fiction, which I mean, I guess it is set in 2013, which is 11 years ago now at this point, but I'm just like, to me, I'm like, that wasn't that long ago, but I guess, yes, it is a historical fiction novel, technically. This novel follows Arya Tang West, who after an ill-fated graduation party is sent by her parents to spend her summer with her grandmother, who is an artist in San Francisco. Arya meets Steph Nichols, who is her grandmother's gardener, who introduces her to the queer working class community of San Francisco, which includes Steph's friend group as well as Steph's girlfriend. Between exploring her sexuality and an illicit affair with Steph, Arya finds that this summer will change her life forever. This novel also has such a beautiful tie-in with Last Night at the Telegraph Club that I'm not going to spoil because I really just want you to find out for yourself, but it was very beautiful. It made me cry. So I definitely recommend this book so much. Next, we have These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. This historical fiction fantasy duology is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920s Shanghai. We follow Roma Montague and Juliet Kai, former lovers and the respective heirs to the White Flowers and the Scarlets, the two most powerful gangs in Shanghai. The long-standing blood feud between the two gangs comes to a grinding halt when a madness starts spreading through the city, which causes White Flowers and Scarlets alike to start tearing out their own throats. This madness forces Roma and Juliet to put aside their complicated past and work together, because if they don't, there might not be a city left for either of them to rule. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the channel, but I don't like Romeo and Juliet. It's my least favorite Shakespeare work. Again, it's not even that I don't like Shakespeare. Like, there are some Shakespeare works that I actually really like Othello, Coriolanus. Those are my two favorites. But I've never liked Romeo and Juliet. I didn't like it when we had to read it in school. I have never enjoyed Romeo and Juliet. So I've never usually cared for Romeo and Juliet retellings or adaptations unless they're on stage, because on stage adaptations of Shakespeare are always fun, at least to me, regardless of my personal feelings about like the work itself. All of that aside, I absolutely love these books. I demolished them. Oh my god, I love them so much. The addition of the 1920s Shanghai setting, the madness and the gangs, like all of that really made the Romeo and Juliet story, like the predictability of it, so fun and new and refreshing. It just was so great. I absolutely loved it. I don't want to say too much because of spoilers, which again, you might be like, oh, it's Romeo and Juliet. Like, I know how this ends, but there are definitely elements that have been very much changed due to all the things I mentioned before. So it's definitely not as predictable as you might think it is. I absolutely loved Roma and Juliet's characters, and I loved Benedict and Marshall. I can't say anything else, but I love them so much. They made me cry. I absolutely recommend this duology, and I am so excited to read the Foul Lady Fortune duology because it follows some of the familiar characters from this duology, and I'm so excited to jump back into this world. Next, we have the Wrath and the Dawn duology by Renee Octia. This YA fantasy duology follows the story of Shahrazad, a teenage girl who volunteers to marry Khalid, the boy king Caliph of the fictional Arabian-inspired kingdom Khorasan, as an act of revenge. Khalid has taken almost 100 wives and had them all executed at sunrise. One of these wives was Shiva, Shahrazad's best friend, and so now Shahrazad is plotting to kill Khalid in retaliation. I originally planned on making a separate video for these books, but I kind of lost the motivation over time, which is nothing against these books in particular. Like, I liked them. I just kind of like got really busy and never had the time to make the videos, but I did enjoy them. They were a pretty easy read, nothing life-changing, but again, I did like them. I feel like if you like YA fantasy, enemies to lovers, then you'll probably like these books. And last but certainly not least, we have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. The Poppy War is the first book in a grimdark fantasy trilogy where we follow Rin, a poor war orphan who lives with her abusive foster parents who are opium sellers. When Rin learns that her foster parents plan to marry her off to make more money, Rin decides to secretly study for the Keiju, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is this national test as an escape. To the surprise of her country, her village, her foster parents, and to Rin herself, she places first in the Keiju and then is sent to attend the Sinagard Military Academy, which is the most prestigious and most elite military school in Nikon. Again, I hope that I'm pronouncing all these places correctly. Despite facing discrimination regarding her race, class, and gender, Rin excels at her studies and unlocks her potential for shamanism. But things take a dark turn when the Mugen Federation invades Nikon and Rin and her classmates are forced to fight in a war against the Federation. Rin finds that her shamanic powers and her connection to this vengeful phoenix god may be the key to saving her people, to winning this war, although doing so may come at the cost of her humanity. This book is seriously fucked up, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like, it is so well written, and Rin is such a fascinating character, but Jesus fucking Christ, is this book, like, so dark, like unbelievably dark. Like, it goes to places where you're like, surely it won't go this dark, and then it does. I am both excited and really fucking nervous to read the rest of the trilogy, because I haven't gotten spoiled on anything, but I have heard some things about how the next two books are even more dark and even more fucked up. And I just, I'm not sure if I'm emotionally ready or if I ever will be. This book has some of the heaviest, darkest, again, most fucked up shit, like war shit, that I've ever read in a book. So I cautiously recommend it. It's like, it's so strange to me to be like, hey, wanna read this book about these horrific war crimes? When doesn't that sound like a good time? But I mean, it is really well written, it has a really great story and really interesting characters. So I recommend it, question mark? Okay, before I wrap up this video, I just quickly want to go through my current TBR by Asian authors. This is by no means an exhaustive list. This is just my immediate TBR. These are just the books that are at like the top of my queue. I have so many other books I want to read. But starting with, I'm really excited for this one, is Iron Widow, which is by Shirin J. Zhao, which is a sci-fi fantasy YA retelling / reimagining of China's first and only female emperor with mechs, which just sounds awesome. I also know that it's very gay, and that just it's calling my name. I'm so excited to read it. Next, we have The Dragon Republic and The Burning God, which are the sequels to The Poppy War. They are the other books in the trilogy, which again, I'm scared. I'm really scared. Like, I'm gonna read them, but I'm afraid. I'm very afraid about what's gonna happen because I have no idea, and the unknown is very terrifying in this instance. And then lastly, we have Ash by Melinda Lo. I love Melinda Lo so much, so I just want to read everything she's ever written ever. But so Ash is a sapphic YA Cinderella retelling, and it's very gay. It's calling my name. It's literally calling my name. I'm so excited to read it. All right, that's all I have for today's Fangirl Fridays video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If any of you guys have recommendations by South Asian or Pacific Islander authors, please leave them down below in the comments. My shelf is desperately lacking in South Asian and Pacific Islander authored books, and that needs to change. I'm really honestly like, I'll read anything. I mean, I personally, if I had to say a personal preference, I would love some fantasy stuff. But again, I'll read pretty much anything. So anything you've got for me, leave it down below in the comments. Once again, that's all I have for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I upload Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, except when I don't. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.